Bega took note, Mr. Chairman, that the bank account will only be accessible in St. Martin and Curacao. MP Bega's question, does this mean that when traveling outside of these countries, debit cards issued for basic bank accounts will not work for payment or cash withdrawals? If so, MP Bega believes this needs to be looked into further. Through you, Mr. Chairman, this matter was indeed looked into further, and as the draft national ordinance on the basic payment account indicates, the Honorable MP is indeed correct. Unfortunately, the basic payment account can only be used within the monetary union. This restriction is to mitigate risks of money laundering, financing of terrorism, considering that only a simplified due diligence will be conducted when onboarding clients who apply for this basic bank account. For example, no documentation supporting proof of source of funds is required. Additionally, this limitation is to prevent banks from facing de-risking by their correspondent banks. I specifically inquired about the ability to withdraw cash abroad, which is indeed a valid question. While this will certainly be possible within the monetary union, no assurance can currently be given that it will also be possible outside of the union. This is, however, an important point, as individuals should have access to their funds, even when using a basic payment account. A definitive answer has not yet been provided, as this will be determined during the practical implementation of the legislation. Next question, pertaining to international purchases, online shopping, etc., is this a possibility? If not, I think this needs to be considered, according to MP Bega. Mr. Chair, through you, in the draft national ordinance of the basic payment account, in principle, money transfers are limited to payments between St. Martin and Curacao. Any payment through the basic payment account will be limited to payments in St. Martin and in Curacao. This limitation is also intended to be applied to online payments. However, while this is the current intention, it will only be definitively determined during the practical implementation of the legislation. I now move on to questions posed by MP La Cruz. What is the percentage of residents that do not have a bank account? Through you, Mr. Chairman, from the survey conducted in 2021, whereby 1,400 households were interviewed face-to-face randomly, and it showed into St. Martin's payment behavior, it could be concluded that approximately 23% of the residents of St. Martin do not have a current account. However, when considering the respondents without any digital payment possibilities, such as the savings account, the results show that 17% are fully unbanked. Next question. What type of jobs do these locals have, or what type of income do they have? Through you, Mr. Chairman, unfortunately, the survey does not give insight into the type of jobs the locals have. However, the survey does give detailed insight in the income according to various wage brackets. Reference is made to page 7, figure 4 of the report, A Glance into St. Martin's Payment Behavior and Financial Matters 2021, where the following income brackets are visualized. So, none is 11%, from 0 to 500 is 7%, 501 to 1,500 is 32%, 1,501 to 3,000 is 28%, 3,001 to 5,000 is 12%, 5,001 to 7,500 is 5%, 7,501 to 10,000 is 2%, and anything above the 10,001 is 3%. MP La Cruz's next question was in line, or it ties into the amount of 3,000 guilders that is allowed on this account. How was that amount determined? Why this amount? Through you, Mr. Chairman, I share the sentiments regarding in particular the deposit limit as it relates to St. Martin cost of living. As Minister of Finance, my objective is ensuring financial inclusion for all residents, particularly those who are unbanked or operate within the informal sector. The draft national ordinance on the basic payment account was precisely developed to guarantee every customer the right to a safe, affordable, and accessible bank account, free of discrimination and subject to simplified screening. The maximum monthly deposit limit that the honorable member refers to is indeed an important threshold. As per Article 2, Paragraph 6B of the draft ordinance, the authority to determine or adjust that limit rests exclusively with the Central Bank of Curaçao and St. Martin through the issuance of a generally binding regulation. The rationale behind the limit originally proposed and currently applied in Curaçao was primarily related to risk management and anti-money laundering safeguards rather than socioeconomic indicators. That said, I fully acknowledge that St. Martin's economic context and cost of living levels differ significantly from Curaçao's, and therefore it is both reasonable and appropriate that these realities be considered. In this regard, I wish to inform Parliament that we intend to formally engage the CBCS to review whether an upward adjustment of the cap is justified, taking into account verified local data on average expenses and income flows. This will be done in consultation with the domestic banking sector and the CBCS so that any proposal presented reflects a balanced approach between accessibility, compliance, and risk management. Finally, while the government cannot unilaterally set this limit, we fully support a data-driven discussion with the central bank aimed at ensuring the basic bank account fulfills its intended purposes, that is, to promote financial inclusion while taking into consideration St. Martin's realities. Parliament will be kept informed of all developments in this regard. Next question by MP La Cruz. Article 3.3 speaks of a system. MP La Cruz states that he knows of BKR system, the Bank Credit Registratie System, exists in the Netherlands, where your financial profile is registered, all banks have communication, and can see an individual's outstanding debt. Is that already the case here, or is that something new that will be introduced? Through you, Mr. Chairman, such a system does not exist right now, and I am not aware of any such system being worked on at the moment. However, Article 3, third paragraph of the draft national ordinance, basic payment account, merely provides a basis for banks to be able to communicate with each other in regard to the basic payment account. In addition, the same articles provides the financial institution the possibility to request the applicant to sign a declaration that the applicant doesn't have a payment account at another institution in St. Martin. Article 5, first paragraph, subparagraph B of the draft national ordinance basic payment account then provides the possibility to terminate the basic payment account agreement if the applicant already holds another payment account. Next question, Article 2.5. Point 3, biedt diensten tegen redelijke vergoeding aan. The MP has a problem with the word redelijk. What is redelijk? He has seen some banks charge $10 to withdraw cash from an ATM. He doesn't know if the minister or the central bank has influence, but he's concerned that the term redelijk give banks too much freedom to charge whatever they want to. Through you, Mr. Chair, Article 2, Paragraph 5 of the draft national ordinance on the basic payment account stipulates that a basic payment account must be offered either free of charge or for a reasonable fee. A reasonable fee in this context refers to a fee that is lower than that of a regular payment account, recognizing that this particular group of consumers makes use of fewer banking services. However, I would like to take this opportunity to inform the honorable members that in addition to the draft national ordinance on the basic payment account, several related draft laws are currently being finalized for submission to Parliament. These legislative initiatives are essential not only for advancing financial inclusion and protecting consumers, but also for improving St. Martin's compliance rating with the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force, CFATF. One such important draft is the National Ordinance on the Supervision of Financial Market Infrastructures and Oversight. Many of us, including the honorable members of this House, have personally experienced or heard of the concerns of citizens regarding high banking and transaction fees. This upcoming legislation will, for the first time, empower the Central Bank of Curaçao and St. Martin with the legal authority to regulate and oversee banking transaction fees. At present, neither I nor the Central Bank have the legal authority to intervene in or regulate these fees. It is therefore my sincere hope that when this draft ordinance reaches Parliament, it will receive broad support so that the CBCS can be properly mandated to ensure fairness, transparency, and accountability in the fee structure that affect our people on a daily basis.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXM, yeah. Your social and health insurances.
24/7 TV programming on www.stmartinmediacenter.com, SXM Daily News, PBS NewsHour, Now You Know, com programs, documentary, entertainment, sports events, Saturday children's hours, religion programs, and movies. Click on SXM TV broadcast to see your favorite programs.
St. Martin, as heavy rain falls across our region, we urge all residents and visitors to exercise caution and stay alert. Here are the areas prone to street flooding, flash floods, and/or rock slides. Avoid these locations until water levels subside. Atillage Road Roundabout, Cul-de-Sac. Arch Road, Sucker Garden. Beacon Hill Road, Simpson Bay. Atillage Road, Border Monument, Belvedere, Lower Princess Quarter. Billy Folly Road, Coal Bay. Emma Plain, Phillipsburg. L.B. Scott Road, Cul-de-Sac. Rhine Road, Lowlands. Welhelican Road, Low K Roundabout, Cahill, Little Bay. Well Road, Wellington Road, and Orange Grove Road, Coal Bay. Yancho Rousquin Boulevard, Point Blanche, and Sakers Gut Road, Cul-de-Sac. Remember, safety comes first. Let's work together to keep our community safe. This public service announcement is brought to you by the Department of Communication.
The reform programs that I asked about, and you said right now, like I asked, it's only the GED. A few years ago, I remember there was a sewing program taking place there. There was a woodworking program. Why or what happened that those programs all fall apart? If you can, expound on that, why these programs fall apart and why are they not in place? You have people in prison that can't even write their own name. They cannot speak nor write or anything in English language. Why isn't there a basic teaching program, a class for teaching English, or teaching people to read or write so that they can be fit to get back into society, to easier integrate into society. Yeah. If you can give me some information on that.
Yeah. So actually, and thank you for reminding me about the sewing program, because a few weeks ago I was informed that there was some sewing going on again, and I actually it slipped my mind that was happening again. The woodworking has been a little more tricky because the workshop was destroyed after Irma. And as a result, when it came to funding that we've had for the prison, again, there's that idea from the Netherlands where we're not going to spend €1 twice. So it was all, we could only fix spaces, in a certain way. There was, for example, one of the things that for a while we wanted to rebuild and reinvest in was the chapel. But the price was too much. It was, I think, $1 million to fix it. And they were like, well, we're not going to spend $1 million when in a couple of years we're going to tear it all down. So the woodworking and the chapel was one. I think the woodworking was also an issue with the gentleman that used to teach the class left the island or was older now or something like that is what I was told. And one of the ways that we're looking to fix that is, a couple of times I've spoken in here about a foundation that I met with in Aruba that uses the European Solidarity Corps. We're in discussions right now with SMDF because the way that program works is volunteers come from Europe and they come for, let's say, 6 weeks. They're paid by the European Solidarity Corps and they come and they do a project. They paint a mural in the prison, they make earrings, they make jewelry, different types of projects and with a certain scope. They are paid from the European Solidarity Corps, and also the inmates who take part in that course also get paid by the European Solidarity Corps for taking part in that course. So that's a way that we're looking at, because I feel a lot of times what I've seen here on the island is that things are too dependent on a single person. And we want to create systems that are sustainable. So we don't want it to have that Bibi gives the sewing class, but Bibi's sick or Bibi leave the island and now sewing class done, no more sewing class. We don't want to have that anymore. So we're looking for how do we build a system where we can rotate staff, maybe they can come from away, that we at least can offer programs structurally. When it comes to the GD program, I would be remiss, as I remember the first time I met with Dr. Boston, she said to me, everybody calls it a GD program, but she said, but I would choose to call it a prison education program. And because she said not everybody is getting a GED. When they come in, actually, all students are tested individually based on their capabilities. Whether that's, and they range, some, as you said, some people are at a pre-K kindergarten level when they come into there. And then based on that, a tailor-made program is made for them in order to bring them to a certain level. So not everybody is doing a GD program. And I know we call it a GD program, but actually it's more of a literacy program more than anything else. So that is actually what is happening. But again, what we see there is not many individuals take part. I've been there to the prison too, where even they've told me, yeah, they don't want to go. And guys they rather just sit in the cell. They don't want to, that machismo, they don't want to admit, they don't want to go to a class. And you can't force them to go. So that's why we're looking at how do we make it attractive for them to go in a new setting.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXM, yeah. Your social and health insurances.
24/7 TV programming on www.stmartinmediacenter.com. SXM Daily News.
The Jamaican government says Hurricane Melissa has killed at least 19 people after it struck the island nation earlier this week. Search and rescue efforts are continuing in the worst hit areas. A clearer picture of the devastation is emerging. The town of Black River in particular on the island's southwest coast was one of the worst hit areas. The satellite image we're showing you now is from February earlier this year, and you can see the local market and next to it the fire station. Well, this is what Melissa did to those areas. Elsewhere in the Caribbean, at least 25 people have died in the island nation of Haiti. Our news reporter Nick Davis is in Kingston, Jamaica for us now. And Nick, we were speaking earlier about some of the challenges in some of those areas that have been particularly badly hit. Just remind us of the priorities.
I mean, at the moment, it's trying to get to people who are trapped. The number of the communities are completely isolated. They can't even get out to be able to get help. Many instances, the roadways have been washed away. Because the country is so mountainous, it means being able to get away from where they are is almost impossible. Inundated streets, inundated fields, precipitous walks to be able to get to safety, and often with young children, it means that these people will have to be rescued. You can't even go in there with helicopters. It's going to be a really difficult task to be able to get some of these people. And you have to bear in mind that they don't have any power or any electricity or any even water at the moment.
You've kind of answered my next question, because I was going to ask about if there are enough government resources that are being thrown at this. And I was going to say, why can't you use helicopters to gain access to these areas?
It's a number which you need. A lot of media interest has been clearly on Black River because it's the area of most need right now. But you have pockets of communities. And that's the thing about Jamaica. I often describe it as kind of hill and gully, because in every hill and every gully, there's a community of some nature. And in central Jamaica, a lot of that because of the fact that it's rural communities. Now, how do you get enough resources? How do you get enough rotary aircraft to be able to get into those areas? It's very, very difficult. You need to be able to get roadways. Jamaica has so many roadways. It's just so impassable to get through to many of these communities. And that's part of the problem.
Is there a feeling yet, Nick, that the government could be doing more, or are Jamaicans very patient with this period following Melissa?
That's a great question. I think that Jamaicans, by their very nature, are very resilient people, and they're aware that the country is going through an unprecedented challenge. But at the end of the day, people want water. I was in Falmouth on the north coast, and people in the hospital, orderlies, were having to clear the actual hospital from debris. They hadn't been in contact with their government. They hadn't been given any supplies. Police officers, someone joked and shouted out, you know, what's Andrew doing for you? Because the police hadn't heard from high command, because they don't have Starlink. They don't have that longer length communication to be able to connect with people outside of their region themselves.
Nick, very quickly, you said people want water. After 3 days, you will die if you don't have water. So you say this, but the implications are, why aren't people getting water?
People are doing what they can in some of these communities. People did stock up, but sometimes they're taking matters into their own hands and finding water where they can. If it's in a partially destroyed house, they'll do it.